right, everybody. Kathy Arbor here, and today is member stream for April. And we're going to be working on a mixed media journal page for a journal. You could do this on Canvas too if you wanted to, though. This is an old journal, which I found. And I've only done like one page in it. But I really love this one, so I thought I'd show you how I go about doing this type of art journaling. Let me just check my... There we go. And if this is done on... This was actually watercolor paper, but you can use a mixed media paper or an acrylic paper if you would like. Actually, I think I have... Oh, another thing that I did in this was I repurposed some drawings that I had and just printed them out to a larger or smaller format. And this one I had a hat on. Oh, no, I didn't. No, this is another one that I used. There's actually another one that I used this on. So you can use your own drawings, or I'm going to show you an easy way if you're a little bit uneasy about drawing a face. I will show you how you can get around that by using a magazine image and just tracing it. So what I want you to do is pick out, I use scrapbook paper. If you have jelly prints that you want to use, you can use that. You could use wallpaper, tissue papers, papers that you've already stamped or painted on, and you could even photocopy papers. You could use magazine papers, whatever has some type of pattern on it. But the one thing I want you to do is find a large pattern. So these are the patterns that I'm concentrating on, and also a small pattern, and then some type of geometric pattern. But I want them all to have the same colors. So don't go too crazy in the colors. So I'm picking basically the fuchsia green, and there is a little bit of yellow in here. So what I did was I found this one and then looked for papers that went with this. So I picked the greens and the pinks out. So this one, now they weren't with the same pack, but if you're lucky enough to have packs that have all the similar colors, then use that. And then I want you to get a piece of paper, or if you're going to do this in a journal, you can do it in a journal. And I'm going to actually do it in my file folder. It's end of the month. So this one actually will be the page we do, because I'm going to glue something on this page here. So what I want is we're going to tear these papers up first. Just a few. We don't want a bunch of small pieces. We want more or less larger pieces. So I'll show you what I did in this one here. So this here is one piece. This down here is another, and then there's one across. Now you could put something in here. I basically made a window, a frame. So we're going to only use a few papers. So for the background, we're also going to use paint. So what color do you want to stand out to show off your papers? Now I already have quite a bit of green in both of these. This one here had quite a bit of purple in here, but not a whole lot in this one. So what I did in this is I used a lot of purple paint, but then I also added a little bit of green around her face. So 2 colors. I want you to, one will be more dominant than the other. So what I'm going to do is the pink and the green. So I think I want, I'm just going to rip this. And then I'm going to figure out what color of paint that I want to do on here. Do we want to go with the lighter green, or I think I'm going to stick to the lighter colored green, but it's in the same family. Let me put a little bit less exposure on here. Looks a little dark. There, it's better. So I have this green here. And this is just craft paint that I'm using. Just put some of that on. And then I want a nice pink color. So I think I almost go into the fuchsia, but I can lighten it with water. So here's one fuchsia. There you go, fuchsia pink. Now you can use stencils with this also. So just throw some of that on. We're going to use, let's see, I'm going to figure out where I want to place. I'm going to just use one of these, but I will show you how you can trace one out of a magazine. Actually, I'll get a magazine right now. Okay, so I have this here. This is Elle. And just find a face that you want to do that's, I wouldn't do it too big. Like this would be actually a really nice size right there. And pick one that you like the expression out of. And don't worry about if it looks hard or not, because we're going to be tracing it. I don't necessarily want hands, because that's just a little bit more work for you, and it'd probably be easier if you just had a face and not hands. So the trick to having a successful journal page, in my opinion, everybody's different, is to minimize the color or colors. So don't put too many colors in, because then you have problems with losing your vibrancy in the paint. Also making it look too busy is another problem that you come with. And it's a whole lot easier dealing with that type. Here's one here. So we have this here. And I want you to get a piece of tracing paper. And you can put it on a piece of plain copy paper. Face down your copy paper and then put that over top. And then make sure you put a piece of tape so it doesn't move on you. Okay. So I'm just gonna, actually I'll move this down so I can have all three. That way it's not gonna move on me. Put one on the side too. All right. Then I want you to take a fairly sharp pen. And then just trace around the shapes of the face. If you want the hair, you can put the hair. I'm not going to put this hair here. I think I'm just going to take her ear and the shape of her face and her hair. So I'm going to just make up her hair here. If you want part of the neck, you can put part of the neck in. I'll just put a little bit of the neck in. And the shape of her chin. And then you don't get too specific though, as far as, actually I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. There. You don't want to outline the nose, so just do her eyes the way you see them. Don't get too detailed though. I'm just going to put where the eyeball is, basically the shape of her eyebrow. Like that. And then when her nose, you see the nostrils and the tip of her nose, depending on how the head is tilted. This one's tilted a little bit down, so you're seeing more on the top of her nose than the underside. And her lip, where it opens. Cupid's bow. And a little bit under here. I'm not going to do the whole thing. And her hairline. So I'm just going to make some lines where her hairline is. So she's got hers up in a bun, so the hair kind of sweeps in a certain direction. So just, you can put that in so you don't lose it. So you see the part in her hair. We're going to be cutting these out, so don't worry too much about it. And keep your copy just so you can refer to it. So that's basically all you need. So now you can take it up. And you've got your face. Okay, so I'm just going to put this aside for now. And we're going to take some of this paint here. Now you can use a brush. You could do some stenciling on it. It's up to you. I'm going to just put some on with a brush. I have a fairly wide brush here. And I think I'm going to take some green first. And I want her face kind of in the lower part here. So I'm just going to paint this in here. And then I think I'll put a little bit of pink. Now this mixed, that's fine. Just to get it started. We can change it afterwards. This is acrylic paint, so there's no wrong way of doing this, essentially. So I really love the flowers in here. Now, do I have enough room to put the big ones in? I could. I definitely want to use this one here. So I'm just going to cut it with my fingers. And I might just have it going right across like that. That might be pretty. Because I do want some of that green. Just remembered we were going to keep some of the green. So let's just rip. So this could go up like this, which is pretty. Now I'm not going to glue it on yet. And we have this here. Now I could just do a strip of this right over top, like that. Or I could have it on top of here, like this. Now I'm not worried about covering that up. This is when you kind of have to play with things. Where did I put that other? Now this one down here, maybe a smaller section. So I just ripped some. Maybe I just want a little piece of that. I could have this on the bottom. I could do this. I could do that. Just play with your, I don't want too many small pieces though. And her face could go right here. Or like that. Like that. And like this. I could do that. And have her face here. Or I could put this here. and this here. I kind of like that, actually. This is a little bit distracting. So maybe I need to have the smaller part. Oh, I just put that in my paint. Yep. Typical me. Put that up. Do it again. I really like that flower though. Maybe I'll tear this down again. A little bit smaller. So that this is covered. It's a little better. This one, I like this, but we can cover some of it. We could also overlap. See, if you look at this, if I were to do this, then we end up with some distraction by the way the stripes are going. Could do that. Brings your eye down and around. Kind of like that, actually. All right, I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I might just play with a little bit of this color, though. I think that needs to be brought into somehow. Maybe. Sometimes adding other pieces helps with the eye to follow the picture around the page. Let's see, do I want that there? It's not bad. I don't know if I want this. There. Okay, so what I've done is I've taken this background and put it here because that will bring your eye around the page. These lines are all going in the same direction, which causes your eye to travel across the page. This is very busy, so I wouldn't want too much of this color here. But it weights this corner because this corner is fairly weighted by this illustration of the flower. So I think that's what I'm going to do. All right, so let's put this aside and we'll glue this one down first, and I'm going to use matte medium. I have some gel matte medium here. Sorry. right. Just going to also put it on the back of that piece of paper. So I have that kind of like that. And then this one, across the page where it goes. Like that. And I'm just going to cut this off now so it's a little easier to handle instead of sticking to my page. And if you have a credit card or something similar to use to scrape, let's see, I know I have one somewhere. Where did I put it? There we go. And just gets all of the bubbles and whatnot out. All right. And then the other three go like this. So this one first. Goes on top. Also, you want it not to lift. There's nothing more maddening than having to go back in and... Now, did I have... Yeah, it's got to be this way. That. And this one goes down here. Maybe like that. Like this. Yeah, I think I like it better. With the smaller end here. So you can change your mind. Okay. Just go across the bottom again. And then this one goes over top. Don't know if I want... Yeah, I think I'm just gonna make it... I don't want the rough edge. I'm just gonna make it smooth on the bottom. So we'll just knock it down a little bit. That's actually pretty too, that side. That would have worked also. Oh well. Many, many ways. You can just go crazy in possibilities. So sometimes it's not good to, that's another reason why there's a better way of doing it when you don't have too many possibilities of, actually, that could go there. Of paper and color and limit. A lot of times you don't need a lot of color. I know everyone loves color, but sometimes having too much, it's too distracting. It's hard to decide what you're going to want. So when you're limited to 3 papers and 3 colors, it goes by a lot easier doing it that way. Because a lot of people, when they start doing mixed media, because there's so much you can use in mixed media, sometimes they get overwhelmed. And that's not good. Okay, there, just a little bit. All right, so there's the beginning of our book. Now, make sure it's really good and stuck down. If you're using, you could even use napkins for this, but if you're using that type, napkins or tissue paper, you have to be very careful you don't rip it when you're using a credit card or something like that. So dry it thoroughly. This can take a little bit of a while. So while I'm doing this, you can be putting your papers on or drying at the same time. If you find that I'm going a little bit fast, just stop the video and then you can continue on. Try and get it as dry as you can. It doesn't have to be like bone dry, but you're going to be adding some more paint to this, so you don't want it so soppy. All right, so I'm just going to put this aside, let it dry a little more, and then we'll work on our girl. Now, I like just putting black and white. So you can get a fairly dark pencil. This is a General's Layout pencil, extra black. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my picture that I have here. Let's see if I turn the light off. Stops the glare. Yeah, there we go. Oh, I'm going to put the other light on. So we're going to use this for looking at our tones and shading. So we know we can either just leave this as is. That's not bad. The eyebrow is usually thicker in the middle part by the center of the face. So you can color that in a little bit more. Make the eyebrows the way you want. They don't have to stick to this shape. She has just a little bit of a lid. She doesn't have a lot of a lid. Now she has a nice, her pupils are almost at the top of her eyelid. You can barely see it. So I'm just going to add a little bit. Try to get them the same size. And the nose is a little bit darker in here. That's where the nostrils would be. And I'm just going to, because this is a lead pencil, I'm just going to redraw the lines under here, because I'm going to take a stump or Trotilian, I think they called it. I like the smoother one. And I'm just going to shade in this area here where see, her ear would be here. She has some hair going over her ear. So I'll put that there. And she has a little bit of a shadow in here for her cheekbones. And a little bit under her lip. And usually the top lip is darker because it's tilted inwards. So we're just going to scribble a little bit on there. And she kind of has a little bit of a smirk. Her nostrils come up a little bit. And she has just a tad of line like that. And she has a little bit of shadow in here. And we'll take a Trotilian and finish this up. She has shadow under here too, in her eyes. So you could actually redraw those eyes. Try and stay true to the line though. You don't want that to really be dark, dark. Okay. Now, let's see. Yep, I do. So these are the Artist Loft. So they're not very expensive. They work fantastic. I really like, and you get them in different sizes. These ones are fair. Yeah, well, this one is a little bit grainy feeling. So you just take your pencil line and go over those areas that you redrew. That's the shadows that you'll be putting in. The ear would be shadowed. You can always add more to your picture if you don't have enough on your stump. But as you go, you'll build up more on that. Then you can just use it in other areas. She has a bit of a shadow under her nose and kind of on the side of the tip of the nose. It's up a little bit. And that's the thing about doing noses, is it's more about shadow than line. Okay, and then there's a shadow from the eye down to the wing of the nose. And it just lightly goes up to the center of the nose. Leave a bit though. Okay, and that'll give you the shape of her nose. You can add more and more, but start off light. It's a lot easier to fix that than have to erase a really dark area. You'll never totally get that up. So if you just start off light and keep adding to the color. It's right in here, right under the eyebrow, just in by the bridge of the nose, it'll be darker. So now I can add a little bit more if I want. Now you can scribble some on a piece of paper and just pick it up that way, or you can just add more. I'll just add more here. A bit darker in there. And in there, there's that tear duct. Does show there. And the white of your eye also will be shadowed a little bit on the top part. Right across. And then, right, kind of like you bring that up to her eyebrow there, just a little, so that this part is lighter. Because that's the fat part of your eye. And there's a little bit more in there, I guess. Just scribble a little bit on there, and then you just take your stump and blend it in. Now, the side of your head too, in your temple area, it's also got a shadow on there. Because your head isn't flat, it's round. A little bit of shadow in there along your hairline. put some of that in. Depends how detailed you want to get too. And then don't forget her cheeks and under her chin here will be a little bit more shadowed. Now I can take out some too. If I find it's too dark, I'll show you that in a minute. From here to just gradually shade it to the light area. So you don't want a really dark line in just stopping. You want, there's different shadows in density, so dark, medium, and light. So you kind of have to pay attention to your paper. Just see where you see those areas. So this in here is really dark. Okay. Right in under that lip too, it's fairly dark. And in here, right in the crease of her lip. It's a little bit dark there. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit in here, just slightly above her eye. So it is, you got to remember the shape you're using is a ball. So it's not flat. So her forehead, the lightest area is right up in here, right here. And then her eyes, you got a little bit of color of shading underneath here. Just a bit. Don't have to put too much in or it'll give her really dark, baggy eyes like she needs to have a sleep. But there is a bit more in there, I think. There. Now these are just very quick. Now her neck is very shaded, so I'm just going to go in here with a fair amount, and you'll see her shoulder and where the tendons stick out. Muscles. fairly shadowed in there. You can make this part really dark. Okay. A bit darker in there. Right in here, there's a little bit of a darkness right there. And I think I'm gonna add a little bit more hair in here. It's too neat. So I'm gonna make some squiggles, although I don't really need to do that right now. I can do that later. Look at the flow of the hair. How is it? Is it running upward or? Is it very curly? You got to look at all those things. Where there's more shadows, add those in. There's quite a, you can see the part in her hair here. So the front of her hair is got quite a bit of a shadow, and then there's the shine. So the side of her hair's kind of dark looking. So right into here, almost up in a T shape, upside down T shape. And then where her bun is, her hair's twisted. So it'd be darker on the sides and then lighter on the middle. That's where the shine is. But there's a definite way the hair is twisted. So you kind of have to pay attention to that. So there's an actual way the hairs are running. So you can kind of put that in a little bit. Not have to be too crazy about it, but and then you can just color those shaded areas in with your stump. Make them a little darker. So it just gives it depth. So along the front. Like that. Like I said, these are just quick. So depending on how much detail you want to put in them. Myself, I love detail, as you know. So I like a lot of contrast. So you would see a lot of dark, more or less on the back part of her hair. So a little bit more in there. Actually, that would be dark in there too. And I can take a marker, or not a marker, eraser and put some more highlights in if I want to also. So let's find an eraser. I have this eraser here. I like the small ones. So you can, let's see the highlights in the center part here and in the center of this thing. So you can just erase some, make it a little brighter. There's a few in here too. Let's see. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. It's a little bit dark there. So I'm just going to erase some of that. That'll give it a lighter look. There. And maybe just a tad in there. Not so dark. You do whatever you feel it needs. Myself, I don't like a hard outline necessarily. I tend to go with almost fading areas. All right. And I could play with this, and you can play with it for as long as you want. So let's stop at this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out. So you can either cut a shape, or you could actually cut it right out. Let's see if I can put this. Not bad. Actually pretty good. I'm surprised. Here. So there's a shape. Let's take this. Actually, I'm going to outline her. The iris, she had dark ring around her eyes. It's very dramatic looking. So put that in. Maybe shadow that in a little bit more, a little bit bright. There. So there she is. And I could go in and actually darken this here a little bit more under here. Should be dark, fairly dark in there anyway, so let's put that in. Under the chin's usually very dark. All right. Now we can get our thing back. Now we could just go like this. That's actually really pretty. Even though it's on a white background. But we could emphasize white in the background too. So should we use this or cut her out? I think I'm going to cut this one out. Just to show you what to do. So we can still put the little stray hairs in if you want after we glue her in. There. All right, so now we could position her like that, or decide you can put her wherever you want. I like thirds myself. You could have her up there. Let's fold her over so it doesn't work. If she was up here, this is a good spot because your eye is following this line here, that line, and this line to her. Now you can, this is a little distracting, but you could also camouflage this by adding some paint. If she's down here, it's not too bad either. This actually almost looks like an arm here. Or you could have her up there. If you did that, it almost looked like a piece of clothing there. So if we had her down like that, that's actually cool. So if I bring her neck to follow those lines like that, yeah, I think I'm going to do that. So see this part here, it's a little bit distracting. So I'm going to take my paints now before I put her on permanently. Decide what I want to do. Now I can either use more of this color. Now if we do that, we need some white. We could also take a very small, although we have a lot of pattern here and here. So maybe just a bit of that green. I could lighten it to make it a little bit lighter, although this is dark. This is how I think. I could take a stencil something small like this. And take a sponge and that green that I used and just have it going off into some of these papers. Here, the white, I think I'm going to put a little bit of that pink. I'm just going to get another brush here. At this time I want just in here a little bit of that pink. And maybe here. Just to cover that up. Then I think a little bit of this in here. Take that stencil. like that. And then I'm going to dry this pink up here a little bit. Now I'm going to incorporate the same stencil. So don't use a bunch of different stencils. And I'm going to integrate that green into the pink. So it doesn't look like it stops all of a sudden. See how it looks. Okay. So now this looks more cohesive. So you're not totally looking at where things stop and start. I could fix this one up a little bit more, I think. So let's reposition this. Just bring it into there a little. Just like that. So that way it causes all these pieces to interlock with each other. You can do that with the pink too. So when I put her down, how did I have her again? Yeah, she was like that. Now that you notice her a little bit more. Now I could take, I think I'm going to take a little bit more green into here though. So I'm going to just bring this green to here. And let's see. Try and match my stencil up as best as I can. I think it was like that. Okay. And then layer down, see what it looks like. Yeah, see how this brings it up a little bit more? Maybe a little bit more in here. Just looking. I think maybe some white. So I'm going to bring a little bit of this white on my palette. And same stencil. Take her off. And this color here needs to go into the other area too. So I've just added a little bit of white to my sponge. And we've brought it down into here now. We can do the same over here. So just that, a little bit of Oh, she'll be there. Maybe a little bit more in here. Okay, so you see what I've done? I've kept the same stencil, but brought that color into here a little bit and down here. It's very, very small amount, but it does make a difference. And you could also do it with the pink. Now, I don't think we need the pink in there though, because it's very dominant color. But I do like how the white light green added to it. Okay, so let's give that a little shot of heat and then we'll glue the face on. Now you have to be careful depending on the pencil that you use to draw. You could fix it first if you want to. I like to live dangerously. Just clean my brush, make sure there's no color on it. So she'll sit in here. Whereabouts? Put a little bit on her. And just get her in the right position. Try not to put too many brush marks. That way it's less likely to move on you. There. And there's her. I like that. I think it looks cool. All right, so let's dry that up again. Okay. Now this is when I usually sit and take a good long look at it. See what else we can put on. Now we could put a sentiment on there, or we could just leave it as it is, or we could even write something on the lines in here. That would look kind of cool. I would probably do it in white, or you could add more stuff. Where did I put my book? Okay, where did I put my book? There it is. So with this one, there's a sentiment. I put actually big rings. There's 3 dots. So if you were going to say do dots or some kind of a shape, pick a color again. So maybe the bright pink, and you could do 3 dots in here. You could do the green 3 dots. You could do rings like here. You could do actually rings in white. You could do little lines. I've done white in here just to bring the white out in here. So let's see, what should we do? I think it might need some white. Not necessarily going to put rings or... a shape of some sort. Or you could actually... Those are too similar. You could cut these out. Let's see. If you have one of those circle punches. Let's see. Oh, I got one here. Circle punch. There's part of her dress. Could do this. Let's see. Could do lines too. I kind of like to use the circle punch in this way. That way you're able to center stuff. Let's see. Like that. Try it out before you absolutely glue it on. So you could do that. Something like that. Could do a ring. Small rings in white would be cute. Or, like I said, write something, a sentiment on here. Could have dangles coming down. There's so many possibilities. What else? No, let's just put them like this for a minute. Just white dots. I think that's too distracting. What other thing could we do? Let's color these. With pink. Maybe pink would look better. It's just paper. This is how I kind of audition things. Okay, so if I could do that. Too big. Okay, or you could take something, I think rings. So I have lines, I have a small pattern there. So if I have a larger ring, I think that might look better. So if you have lids off of something, that will work. got here. Could be 2 size rings. So that size here, and then something a little bit bigger maybe. Let me see. Or if you have a stencil of a ring, would be cool too. I have a whole bunch of just different stuff. Okay, I have some different size rings here. That might work. Let's see, is that the same? There's odds and sods. All kinds of stuff. Squares, netting. Netting's kind of cool. I don't remember where I got that. And then bubble wrap would work. There's this, even material if you wanted to put it on. It's very pale though, you wouldn't notice it. So that's too pale. I think I want something just a bit bigger. We also have these, I don't know if you remember a while back we got into the different shaped confetti stuff. That's what this is. I just put tape around them so I could use them so they don't get stuck. That one, stars. But I think I got enough small stuff. So I want bigger. Now I know there's a few stencil type things in that you can get. I think this might work though. So let's do this. So I'm just gonna yeah. And I think it needs one there. Maybe there. I like them overlapping. And then this little one here. And even have little caps. Let's see. Don't want to put too many in because then it can kind of look too much. I think that's enough. Okay, so let's dry that. All right. So after you've done that, just take a look at it. Is there anything else you might want to put in it? You might want, that's it. You could take colored pencils and let's put some highlights on this flower a little bit. So there'd be just a bit of a highlight. Here and there. Let's see. But there. It just brings your eye up there a little bit. Brightens it up a bit. Put a little bit on the centers here, where it's a little lighter. You don't have to do this. I love doing detail, so this is something I enjoy. It could have been just left as it was too. It was quite fine that way. Let's see what else. Maybe a little bit of shadow around her. Although she is pretty well shadowed. Oh, we could put a few more hairs in her. So give those little stray hairs. Now it's not going to show up as much because of depending on your you don't have to do this. So like I said, it could be just the way you want it, as is. All right. So now her face, you notice, and these bubbles or circles, whatever they are, pop out. I could put a sentiment right here, or just one word right there would be pretty. Let's see what I got here. I noticed I had some letters. In green, which might work if I got the right. Let's see. No, I don't think they will stand out enough. If you have a silhouette or Cricut machine, or a nice stamp, you could stamp a word, or if you're confident enough to put your own lettering in, would be good. To cut something out of a book. I'm just looking around here, seeing what I got. Let's see. I don't know. I think I'll leave it as is. Maybe sometimes I'll leave them and come back later and then add something else to them. Don't try and finish it. If you're not sure, then put it away. If you're starting to question whether it's done or not, put it away. And then come back to it tomorrow or next week. And you might see what it needs. So that's what I'm going to do. I am going to sign it though. (2022). And I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you'll give it a try. It's not that difficult. And try drawing one of these. They're very easy. Get a picture, and before you cut it out, photocopy it so you can use it in another, and you can either expand it or make it smaller and use it in all kinds of different types of work. All right, so I'll let you guys go, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.